Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled RC Slocum to Arkansas. This changed the SWC forever. In December of 1988, one phone call quietly changed the balance of power in college football. Not in Miami, not at Notre Dame, but at Arkansas. Because in this alternate timeline, Frank Broyles doesn't stay patient and RC Slocum doesn't stay home. And if you think one coaching move couldn't change anything, then you don't remember what the Southwest Conference was about to become. By the end of this, Arkansas isn't just leaving the SWC differently, they're changing who survives it. But first, let's set things up. College football in the late 1980s. The Southwest Conference wasn't gone yet, but it didn't feel right either. Sanctions, money battles, recruiting drama in Texas that was starting to get ugly. And right in the middle of it, you had two programs trying to figure out what came next, Arkansas and Texas A&M. Arkansas had tradition, stability, and a legend calling the shots in Frank Broyles. Texas A&M had something else brewing, something quieter, a defensive identity that at the time didn't even have a name yet. And at the center of that identity was R.C. Slocum. And that sets the table for the divergence. In real life, Slocum stays at A&M, waits his turn, and takes over in 1989. That's how the Wrecking Crew becomes a thing. But in this timeline, something changes. Arkansas doesn't like what it sees in the 1987 and 1988 window. Not a collapse, not a panic, but enough to make Broyles think differently. Not about next season, but about the next decade. And instead of going safe or internal, he makes a he makes a call, not for a head coach, but for something more specific. We don't need flash, but we need something different. Slocum isn't a splash hire, he's a pipeline hire, a defensive mind with deep roots in Texas recruiting and a reputation that, at the time, only insiders really understood. And here's where it flips. Texas A&M assumes he'll stay. Arkansas does not. And by the time A&M realizes what's happening, RC Slocum is gone. And this sets the table for the fracture. Now here's where most what ifs lose people, because it's tempting to say Arkansas gets Slocum, therefore A&M collapses. That's not what happens. That's not how college football works. Instead, the identity splits. Half the defensive brain trust follows Slocum, the other half stays. At A&M, the system is still there, but it's incomplete. At Arkansas, the system is new, but it's unified. And in college football, unity beats familiarity, especially on defense. And this sets the table for 1989, and you don't have to wait long to see it. Arkansas is not flashy. There's not very many high scoring games, but they're doing something that gets noticed fast. They're controlling games with field position, turnovers, and tempo. And when they line up against Texas A&M, you can feel it. Not dominance, just not yet, but something different. You could feel something changing in the Southwest Conference. Arkansas wins that game with defense, and for the first time, people in the Southwest Conference start asking a different question. Not who's leaving, but who's taking over. And that sets the table for 1991. By 1991, it's not subtle anymore. Arkansas stays a couple extra years, and in 91, they don't just compete, they control the Southwest Conference. The defense is now fully formed. The recruiting pipelines in Texas are real, and the timing matters, because this is the exact moment in real life when Arkansas leaves for the SEC. But in this alternate timeline, they hesitate, not because they don't see the future, because for the first time in years, they feel like they own the present. If we're about to run this conference, why are we leaving it? And that one decision doesn't stop history, but delays it. And that sets the table for the delay. Arkansas doesn't reject the SEC. They just don't rush into it. They stay one more year, maybe two, and that changes everything. Because now the Southwest Conference doesn't collapse the same way. It doesn't break clean. It stretches. It lingers. Programs that thought they had a deadline don't anymore. Texas A&M, without full defensive identity, can't take control. Texas is still powerful but can't stabilize the league alone. And Arkansas, they're sitting in the middle of it, winning. And that sets the table for their modified SEC entry. Because eventually, reality catches up. TV money doesn't wait around. Conference instability doesn't fix itself. And Arkansas realizes something important. They didn't solve the future, they just bought a little bit more time. And when they finally make the move into the SEC in this alternate universe in the 92-93 window, they don't enter as a program looking to survive. They enter as a defense powerhouse. And that matters because the early SEC West doesn't feel the same anymore. The balance changes sooner, the style changes sooner. And Arkansas isn't trying to catch up because they've already arrived. In our timeline, Arkansas ran to the SEC. In this alternate timeline, they stayed just long enough to change everything, not by saving the Southwest Conference, not by stopping what was coming, but by changing who had power when it all fell apart. And by the time anyone realized what Arkansas had become, the conference was already breaking. And if you enjoyed this college football alternate history deep dive, hit like, comment, and subscribe, and check out the videos on your end screen. And I'll see you in the next timeline.